So my name's Sass. I'm running for Congress, and today I just want to talk a little bit about the complex world of gun reform. I guess I'll just dive right in. There are 40,000, over 40,000 gun deaths per year in the United States. More than half of those are suicides. And the reasons for those suicides are economic disparity, culture, mental health, or like lack of mental health treatment, whole long list of things. But the problem is addressing those is going to take a lot of money, people, energy, and most importantly, time. And in that time, we're going to continue to lose a lot of lives. And, death is a symptom you can't recover from. So the question is there anything that we can do that's quick and easy and simple right now to treat and mitigate the symptoms while we're working on the deeper issue of curing the disease? And the answer is yes. Simple things like universal background checks, universal waiting periods. These are some simple, quick, and easy things that we can do to take that 40,000 number down to 30,000 or 20,000 or 10 or 5. And if you're sitting there thinking, but you just said guns aren't the problem, or what if people try to commit suicide in a different way? Well, the method matters. Suicide with a gun is 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times more lethal than suicide with other methods. And that matters because when people survive a suicide attempt, over 90% of the time, they don't end up dying from suicide later on. They go on to live full, healthy lives. And so if you can remove the gun from the suicide equation, you dramatically increase the chances that that person is A, going to survive that suicide attempt, and B, go on to live a fuller, longer, happier life. And again, this is not a cure for the disease. It's not meant to be. It's intended to be harm reduction. That's the point. It's not supposed to get us from 40,000 to 0. It's supposed to bring us down. But that's short term. There's also things like, there's also, of course, all sorts of different violence. Like I said, universal background checks will help to close like private gun show loopholes. Universal waiting periods will help to prevent the kind of mass shootings would help to. Sometimes we see those with quick turnaround times after the weapon is bought, so that can help as well. But that's short term. Long term, how do we deal with this gun issue? Well, guns are a community level problem. Guns are a community level problem, right? If you fire a gun in California, it doesn't kill somebody in New York. So I think gun safety, gun regulation can happen or even should happen at the community level. And so what I want to do high level is empower the gun community to regulate itself. So right now the gun community doesn't have a lot of say in how guns are dealt with. It's mostly just the NRA lobbying for these one-size-fits-all solutions for the entire country. That doesn't make any sense. Different communities have different needs and different desires. And so I want to give those in the gun community more of a voice. And so I think that this can be executed through the empowerment of local, well-regulated militias to help form the regulation for their communities. So one way that this could look, one just an example would be, okay, let's say you want to get a firearm with a high muzzle energy of some kind, whatever it might be. Well, then maybe you have to join the militia, or at least go through some kind of safety training that the militia comes up with, or whatever it may be, and maybe some kind of certification or license or whatever it is, in order to get that kind of a gun. And if there are a lot of gun deaths in a community, then that local militia will be held accountable, and we can hold them accountable through the Department of Justice, right? Which already exists. We just need to empower the Department of Justice to hold those local militias accountable. And so I think this is a way to bring it down to a more community level, and I think that there should also be local and state mechanisms to help hold local militias accountable as well. But I think that this is a way that is compatible with the Second Amendment, right? A well-regulated militia necessary to the security of a free state. I think this is a way to handle guns in a way that is empowering for the gun community, while also empowering for gun owners who are fighting for gun safety, of which there are many. Because a lot of gun owners know that person down at the range who just really should not have a gun, and I think that putting the power in their hands is going to be is a really powerful way to is going to be a really powerful way to help create the regulation around it. And there would also be federal guidelines to cover the gaps, right? So if you're transporting from a weapon from one community to another, or communities that just decide not to have militias, that would be just happy with the federal guidelines or whatever it could be. But finding that balance, of course, is going to require input from voices in the gun community. When, like I said, they haven't really had a voice, and I would like to bring those voices in. I don't want to come down with the hammer as somebody who's not, a super huge gun enthusiast. I don't want to pretend like I know more about guns. I don't want to regulate the gun community from my own perspective. I want to bring in the voices of those who are gun enthusiasts. And so mixing all of this together, I think, is a way to really start to deal with the gun issue. And so this is kind of my stance. So like I said, I'm kind of short term and long term, and I think that this is a reasonable way. I think this is a workable idea. I think that's the way to put it. I think this is a workable idea. I've talked to some gun enthusiasts who advocate very strongly for gun safety. They've pushed back in some ways, but none of it is. They've never had anything that seemed like that has shattered the idea. It's always just kind of like, yeah, I mean, there's this issue, but maybe we could find to mitigate it in this way. And so I really do see it as a workable solution. In terms of size of militias, I think I would say probably the county level is probably the right level. So not like these big state militias, especially not these big state militias. Because in big states, again, it's about giving voice to those in the gun community at the community level. So I think county is typically a pretty good level. I'd be down to have mess with different sizes or whatever's right. I'd have more conversation about that. But I think that the community militias, creating regulation and then holding the militias accountable is a workable solution in the long term to dealing with gun issues. So that's where I'm at.